Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. Yesterday, I kind of went on a little bit of a rant about gossiping and how my interpretation of gossiping does not cultivate positive thinking. Today, I want to continue that discussion with the next level deeper and go outside gossiping to other people, but instead, other people gossiping to you or the inputs in your life. Because here's the thing, the information that we input, whether it be from other people, from movies, from books, from music, from who you follow on social media, all of those things, podcasts you listen to, all of those things are inputs. And when we can watch what we're inputting into our life, we can have one of two outcomes: positive thinking as an outcome or negative thinking as an outcome. So we truly need to manage our inputs, which is what I want to chat about today. So, connecting gossiping from yesterday. If you are friends with or on the chain of people for someone where all they want to do is complain and gossip and there's nothing you can do to fix it, I want to encourage you to really pay attention to that input. Yesterday's podcast, I used the example of if you are complaining to a friend about your spouse, that friend can't do anything about what's happening with you and your spouse. So it's kind of a waste of time to rant and vent to them when you could be solving it with your spouse. But now let's say that you're that friend. Inputs, negativity, spouse isn't cleaning or isn't helping clean the house. Spouse isn't doing this, isn't doing this, isn't doing this. Even though it's not their life, that information has been input into their brain. So, a few things can happen there. They may look at their partner a little differently, looking for things that are similar or different compared to the situation they just heard about. And that could be positive or negative, but most likely negative. Now you're looking for things that are wrong. Other side of this, the next time the two of you do a double date with you and your spouse, what are you going to think of that spouse the whole time? Oh yeah, seems like they're a great couple. This is the conversation when you get home with your partner. Seems like they're a great couple, but he doesn't help do this and she doesn't do this. And it's like, how do you know all this? Well, they told me. So now you have a negative reaction to them when you're interacting with them. So it really doesn't help to input that kind of gossip into your life. Same thing with inputting, if we're using the work example, inputting that kind of gossip into your life because someone says, oh, I think that the boss is doing this and it's wrong. Now you are purposefully looking for that when you could have been completely content before. And then when you see it, what are you going to go do? You're going to go tell somebody else about it. And it just spreads across, but the team lead or the boss never even knows what's going on or that there's something that could be solved because no one's raising their hand and being like, hey, I'm seeing this. Instead, they're just telling everybody else and raising the negativity levels, the negative thinking. So that's a connection to yesterday's episode. But what about those inputs that are music you listen to, movies you watch, books you read, podcasts that you listen to, YouTube videos, social media feed, people you follow? All of those things, all of those inputs make a difference, especially when it comes to thinking positive. If you are listening to music that is negative and saying a whole bunch of stuff that you would never want to do in your real life, you may never do that, right? Let's talk serious for a second here. Let's say that there's songs that talk about suicide. And you're like, yeah, it's just got a great beat and I'm never going to be suicidal. It's no big deal. It's just a good song. Okay? You can get behind that. I've had those thoughts before. Like, yeah, it's just a great song. It's got a killer beat, so it's fine. So then what happens is slowly over time, as you've been listening to music that encourages those kind of behaviors, even though you know you would never do it, eventually one day you have a bad day and a thought comes, well, maybe I should just kill myself. Thought that never would have came before, but it's become normalized because of the music, the inputs that you have been listening to. Now I'm going to use that on the flip side for positive, because it's about managing your inputs, right? On positive inputs, you may follow people on social media where you're like, well, that's a little woo-woo, but it seems like it's working for them and it's positive. I just don't know if I would ever meditate. Great. Keep on following that person. You see the power of meditation happening in their lives. You hear them talk about it. They're offering how-tos. They have a video. They have a guided walkthrough. And you're just kind of slowly following. And it may not even be them. But then down the line, somebody else says something about meditation. And you're like, yeah, actually, I follow this person. And it turns out you know a whole lot about meditation. Because you've been inputting that kind of information into your brain and into your life. And then one day, someone may say, hey, I'm going to go do this like group meditation class. Do you want to come? And you'd be like, yeah, actually, I'm kind of interested in that. I've never really meditated, but I've done a lot of research, or I follow a lot of people that do, and it's worth trying. And over a span of time, however long that may be, it could be like 2 years, but over a span of time, your brain has been opened up to that concept and that idea of, let's say, meditation. It can go both ways. But those things in your life, what you're inputting, have a huge impact on your ability to cultivate positive thinking or negative thinking. Now, a big one for me is TV and movies, because there's such a visual component. And here's the thing, it's not like you listen to this stuff once and it's going to be like ingrained. But it's if you allow it and it's acceptable over time, suddenly it's going to be acceptable over time. And when it's something that you're hearing, that goes into your subconscious fairly quickly. When it's something that you're viewing, it goes into your subconscious fairly quickly as well, because now you have a visual representation that's usually accompanied by audio, which means it's going to stick with you much faster. So if you're watching TV shows or movies where there's behavior that might be considered unacceptable in society, but it's acceptable in the show, you may be more susceptible to thinking that kind of stuff is okay, and then eventually trying it in your own real life and having detrimental consequences. Now, that's an extreme. For those of you that love your TV shows that maybe aren't the most positive, you're probably balking right now. You know, your back's up. And I get that. We don't like letting go of the things that help us numb out. But that's not what this point of this episode is. The point of this episode is to check and manage your inputs. Now, I'm not saying this TV show is bad, this TV show is good. I'm not saying this person on social media is bad or this person is good. I'm not saying what kind of music you should listen to, good or bad. What I am saying is that if you want to cultivate positive thinking, you need to check your inputs. You need to manage them in a way where it makes sense. Read the lyrics to songs and see, do I really want to be singing? Do I really want to be singing at the top of my lungs with my kid in the backseat of my car about suicide? Is that a message I really want in my life? Yeah, it's got a killer beat, but I can get a killer beat almost anywhere. This person on social media, do I feel good about myself after I watch or listen or see them? Or do I feel bad about myself? Is the message that they're sharing something I really want in my life and I am willing to explore in a positive way? Or is it bringing me down? The podcasts I'm listening to, are they enlightening my life, or are they scaring the crap out of me because now I'm obsessed with true crime around every single corner? Right? Look at your inputs and find what works to cultivate positive or negative thinking for you. And you may find that as a first step for positive thinking, it's kind of cleaning house of that stuff that's not the most positive in your life that you're inputting on a daily basis. The music you listen to, the people you follow on social media, the videos you watch. Those things, those inputs make a difference. So, take a look. Manage your inputs, see what you got going on, and see where you may want to cut things out. And of course, test it. Maybe you cut out your favorite podcast that's about true crime for a month and see how your mindset has changed. You can always go back, right? But really take a hard look at your inputs and start to manage them for happier, more positive thinking. So I'm leaving you with that today. I hope that this episode resonated with you, but above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.